You hide 10 muscle man cutouts around Utah County. If you go get a picture with all 10 of them, you get something. And I don't know. What do you get? I don't know. But they have to go find them. One's in an alleyway. One's in a bathroom in an Arby's.
This is the Snowball Effect.
Welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast, where we're going to bring enterprise-level tools and talent to a local small business to help them grow.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast. My name's Todd, and it's great to be here. And I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Christian. Welcome to the podcast. And then we've got Chad here joining us. So welcome to episode 3. Excited to be here.
Last episode was like, it was a lot. It took us like an hour and a half to record the whole thing. We cut it down, but it was basically us just spitballing, saying nonsense. Yeah, it was fun, but it was a little
chaotic.
Long.
There was a lot going on, and what we want to do today is really two things. We want to create a structure for the strategy. That's number one. And number two is just cover some basics. Let's make sure before we get into all the really exciting stuff that we've got the basics covered. Basically, when I look at a new marketing strategy, there's 3 things that I'd like to identify right in the document. As we're talking through this, like add comments. What things would you include? What other insights do we need to incorporate into this strategy? But there's really 3 things in any good marketing, strategy if I were to distill it down. One is you've got your ICP identified right at the very beginning. Who's your ideal customer profile? And we talked about that with them on the first episode, right? A little bit about who.
Which was an interesting conversation from Zactor's side, because he was like, well, the whole world. and I feel like that might be a common answer for a lot of small business owners, where it's like I don't want to block anyone out.
So I think there's like a difference between giving an invite to certain people to your party and then having a bouncer your door and not letting people into your party, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make sense for a lot of small businesses to have a bouncer at the door saying you can come in, you can't come in.
Right.
But what does make sense for them is to issue invitations to the specific people they want to attend their party, so they can try to get more of that demographic or that type of people to their party without having a bouncer at the door.
Who's the ideal customer for Z?
I used to treat my haircut as like a chore, like a checklist. Like my hair's getting really, really long, shaggy, and it's annoying. So let's just it's like taking out the garbage. Let's get a haircut. I do it on a Saturday, like a chore. And so you don't want people who treat their haircuts like chores to be the target customer. You want people to treat their haircut as an opportunity, and something that's necessary for them to maintain their image and their confidence in themselves.
I like that. Somebody who is conscious about their image, right? That might be a single man. That might be a business person that has some discretionary income and some discretionary spending money and is willing to put that in for their career or for their persona. So I think somebody that values their image enough to pay that price, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at full-time job, have income, and are either single or at a place in their career where their image is really something they take a lot of pride into.
I mean, I don't want to throw out the fact that maybe we get Z on Roblox and have him just approach people on Roblox and be like, hey, I'm a barber. I'd love to cut your hair sometime.
You want a haircut?
Just drum up some business.
You ever seen the Harley Davidson dealership? Just go in.
Well, one thing he said was in our first interview with him is he said, "Hey, we've got 3 or 4 of my demographic right here in this room." So to be honest with you, I think we're looking at his demographic right here.
Yeah.
So I think the age range, the time of life, the problems that we have, the image that we're going for, I think we're his demographic.
Yep.
And people looking for haircuts for themselves, not for their kids, right?
That's right. Okay. I think that's very clear. Good. We could spend 10 hours talking about his ICP, but I think as far as just a thumbnail sketch, I think that does a good job. So that's number 1 in the strategy is, okay, let's be on the same page as he is on that. Number 2 is just to identify and add structure to the customer journey. And that's our funnel that we talked about last time. And we'll get more into this. But this is the hourglass funnel. So through this conversation, we'll be kind of adding a little bit of meat onto that skeleton of the hourglass. And then the final and most important step is your execution timeline. And that's where we take all of those initiatives that have been identified on that hourglass and we put them on a 3-month timeline. So those are the big 3 things in my mind: your ICP, your customer journey, as well as your execution timeline. So questions, comments, eye rolls, what are your thoughts?
No, that's organized perfectly. I love it.
Are you going to describe the traditional, because we have like a different version of a funnel. Are you going to describe the traditional funnel as it appeared, like that hourglass funnel, and then go through our...
Yeah,
okay,
I can
cool.
take a second.
Yeah.
So traditionally, what people will do is they'll either have a funnel. And I hinted at this last time, but they'll have a funnel, and that's usually hey, you want to make people aware, and they use things like tofu. That's top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. Those are the 3 phrases you hear all the time. And then you have someone that signs on, right? That's kind of your traditional funnel that's been around since the 50s. Well, recently, in the last couple of decades, that's kind of evolved into more of this shapely hourglass funnel, to make one key point, and that is, once you close a deal, the conversation's not over. The marketing team isn't in the hook, or isn't off the hook, but instead, you actually want to take that customer and turn them into an advocate, hence your hourglass.
I really like that you added the adjective shapely when you're talking about hourglass, so now I know how you feel about hourglasses.
Yes,
Like,
they're
It's the sexiest figure.
I am.
So I love this because this is what Snowball does. Like, we're in the business of the back half of the hourglass. Actually, we're in the business of all aspects of the hourglass. But predominantly, we are focused on helping you turn your customers into advocates of your company and generate new customers from that.
Yeah.
So once again, not an ad for Snowball, but that's what we do. We help you generate referrals, we help you generate reviews, and we are involved in that second half of that hourglass.
And that's exactly where I want to pivot into, is because what most people will do is they'll say, great, if that's my customer journey, they become aware of us, they care what we have to say, they're now comparing us with others, they're ready to sign up, and now they sign up and now they want to share with the world what great experiences they have. They'll be like, great, let's go out and get new customers. And we mentioned this last time, but I actually like to, rather than start at the top and work our way down, really start at the bottom, start at the heart of your business, and that's your current customers. And so that's why we spent so much time last time going through our brainstorming, saying, how can we make the customer's experience better, for one, and 2, how can we leverage that to get more business, right? Yeah. And so today, what I'd like to do is start at the bottom and then work our way up and take some of those ideas that we had the other day and actually put them on this hourglass. And so we'll be working from the customer point of view up through the sale all the way to where do they even find out from us initially. So anyway, that's the structure that I'm driving at, and doing it in reverse order, I think, positions people really well to do what Z wanted, which was, don't you dare touch this customer experience as you try to grow this business.
Yeah, and
that's a sacred thing to him.
Like you said, the reason people start at the top is they're so worried about getting new customers, and we're still going to be focusing on that.
Absolutely.
We're still going to do that. But I mean, across the board, in the design field, in content marketing field, across the board in professional industries, starting at customers has always, I mean, over the last like 5 years or so, I don't know, has been the name of the game. And actually doing it, you don't see a whole lot of content around what does that look like? How do you start at customers? And so I'm really excited about this podcast painting that picture.
Yeah, and I love it. And what I wanted to do is, we had so many awesome ideas last time that were really fun and crazy, but let's start with the blocking and tackling.
Cool.
Let's start with some of what some would call the boring tasks in marketing. It's the engine, the things that have to get done. So throughout the next few minutes of this episode, I just wanted to hammer through some of those things that nobody's going to be writing blog posts about. Nobody's going to be winning marketing awards for these types of things. But if you don't do them, all the creative ideas in the world will get you nowhere.
And what I like about these ideas, though, that they're more broadly applicable ideas. So if anyone's listening to this podcast and they're a small business owner, I feel like these ideas are going to be more applicable than more of our kind of like zany, like Barber Olympic ideas that maybe are just more niche or, not as standard. So I think hopefully this will be helpful to people who have their own businesses to make sure like they're listening to these and they're like, oh yeah, I don't have this going on with my Google business profile. I don't have this on my site. Yeah. And that can be helpful to them.
I love that. So let's take some of those ideas we had the other day, starting at the customer level.
Okay.
So the first thing, that we'll do obviously is plug them into this Snowball platform, right? Let's just get that one out of the way. So that's gonna reach out to their. Do you want to give us just a quick, not a commercial, but just a quick summary of what? Yeah, give us a commercial.
Okay. What does that look like? I am actually interested to hear, like, specifically what that looks like for. Don't look at the camera.
Do you have customers? Do you want more customers? Well, at Snowball, we've got you covered. See what we do. No, okay.
I hated that. I hated that so bad.
I know, I did too. Okay, Snowball, what we do is we automate your word of mouth marketing. And what that means is we help you to generate reviews and referrals from your happy customers, and we help to promote your brand's reputation. So all of these things are intended to help you generate new customers by using your existing customers as advocates for your brand. So as far as plugging them into the Snowball platform, what that means is we're going to get his customer base, and we are going to automate our outreach to those customers, both through text and email, and with the primary goal of generating referrals for Barber Z, Studio Z, and as well as reviews for them. Then we're going to be also not just trying to get any reviews, we're going to get high quality reviews. That means we're going to get written reviews, but we're also going to get video testimonials on his behalf, and hopefully reviews that have pictures, dynamic reviews. And then we're going to use those reviews on his website to increase, the conversion rate of his website. We're going to use it on bestcompany.com, the kind of a partner review site of Snowball. And we're going to use them on other notable sites such as Google My Business and other places to help them drive more customers to them.
Question about just a quick question. I don't want to dig too much into it, but his customer list, he has 175 active customers, and then I think he said around 400. I don't remember what the other number.
Close to 400
total, like lifetime customers. How does that play into the referral program? Do you talk to message all of them, or are we?
So we can be selective. We can be targeted in our outreach.
That's kind of up to Zach.
Absolutely. We can try. What's great about this Snowball is you can segment your customers into different kind of lists or channels, and then we can do different types of messaging and frequency of messaging depending on the message, depending on that customer type. So maybe for his recurring customers, we're going to focus on, okay, let's get referrals from them because they're loyal customers. Let's check if they left a review. If they haven't, let's get a review. If they haven't come in for a while, maybe our primary objective is not to get a review or a referral,
but to get them back in.
But to get them back in. And Snowball can do all of that.
So like a scheduler, we can like integrate with a scheduler?
Absolutely. We can. Okay, cool. In Snowball, we're going to automate messaging to them, and whatever message we send to them can have a link to whatever we want them to go.
Yeah.
And that could be a scheduler, or that could be a link to leave a review, or a link to leave a referral.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
And there's a reason we're not just doing this shameless plug because
I generally don't know those things.
And it's going to have it's going to have a dramatic impact on Studio Z's business. So all these other fun ideas we're going to try, but this is an aspect that I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And
in our outreach, this is something I want to talk about real quick. How do we want to personalize it? The reason why is usually when we carry this out, we'll have it come from, hey, this is the referral team over at this company. We'd like to reach out to you about getting a referral. But it's Studio Z, and they have a personal relationship with the barber. So my recommendation is we have this message come directly from Z and say, hey, this is Z.
This is Zaxter.
Yeah.
Or Z.
And does he call himself Z with his customers?
I didn't know that he called himself Z until this podcast. So I don't know.
Great. Well, I say
Z-Dog.
yes. Z-Dog. We have it. We have them all come from Z-Dog.
We'll do some A/B testing. We'll try different aliases there.
A/B.
Now, it's what's tricky about Z is
Z.
This is going to come from a Snowball phone number, so that we'll figure it out. But making sure there's not confusion between Z's actual cell phone and the number this comes from. But that's logistic. We'll figure that out.
That's perfect. So great. We plug them into that and then see what happens with the referrals and the reviews and the video testimonials and things like that.
And to be clear about this isn't a one-time outreach. This is ongoing nurturing. So Snowball manages this messaging with all your customers over time. So if at any point in time the customer is like, hey, I'm not interested, we won't message them again. But we'll check in for referral. If we don't get one now, we'll check in again in 6 months.
Okay. So we're also assigning roles when we're talking about this. It's safe to say that Snowball referral program, as far as the Snowball Effect podcast, you'll handle that.
I'll take over all the operations.
You handle everything related to that.
So I think that's our first one that goes up is plug them into the Snowball platform, and that goes at the bottom under the share part of the funnel. I love that. While we're down there at the bottom of the funnel dealing with the current customers, I'm going to revisit my idea. It's not the cutout muscle man, even though I'm saving that one for a big snowball campaign that we're going to do coming into summer. We're going to have we're going to have cornhole out in the parking lot and all kinds of things, and your kids are going to love it, and they're going to have their face painted and I don't know, a big muscle
Here's
thing.
what it is. You hide 10 muscle man cutouts around Utah County. If you go get a picture with all 10 of them, you get something. And I don't know. What do you get? I don't know. But they have to go find them. One's in an alleyway. One's in a bathroom in an Arby's.
I want this to be like a Willy Wonka situation. Can we find a way for him to have like golden tickets that people find?
I like that.
And if they get it, then he gets to show him his barbershop.
I love that. I love that.
What?
And some lucky
it's
child out there is going to
come in. Let me show you behind the scenes here. I don't know. That's stupid.
Anyway.
Okay, guys, our dumb ideas were last time.
Yeah, okay. But wait, since we're down here at the bottom, I do have one more idea. Okay, I talked about, and I really like the idea of having some kind of a QR code, and all y'all laughed at me about hats and about hoodies and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but imagine this, Christian. This is going to blow your mind. Okay? Imagine we have a local business here that does nothing but, all they do is caffeinate our demographic, Bucked Up. We do a shout out to Bucked Up and say, Bucked Up, we want you to get a refrigerator full of your most delicious flavors, your Bucked Up flavors. I'm sure
That's how they refer to it, yeah.
I should be their marketing person.
13 flavors, please.
So we have them sponsor a nice refrigerator right there by his $75 an hour seat that someone's sitting there, and then we add a little something there that says, and they ask, what's that all about? And he says, oh yeah, anyone that does a before or after picture and shares it on their LinkedIn, they get a Bucked Up. And so then they do a picture, and it's caffeine and cuts. And they've got their caffeine in one hand and they got their cuts in the other.
With his
Bucked Up
demographic,
loves us. His demographic loves us because they're caffeinated and all hyped up and looking great, and he loves it because he's getting all that voice. What do you think? Yeah. Is that the greatest idea you ever heard, or only the second or third
I do think
greatest?
it's a good idea. I am curious what you mean by do a shout out to Bucked Up. Do you mean just reach out to them and ask them if they want to do this? Okay.
I'm doing the shout out right now. Bucked Up, if you're watching this, we want a whole bunch of Bucked Up.
We know you're
drinks.
watching Bucked Up.
Just give it to us.
So yeah, what is Bucked Up getting from this?
They're getting exposure of their brand.
They
out
look
to
nice.
Their exact demographic.
Are they
It's
getting
a
something
Utah
on
company.
social media?
Yeah, they'll get a shout out and a connection over to. So
when people share their picture, the before and after picture,
Bucked Up is in the picture. This is not. Sorry, Bucked Up. This is Monster. But we've got
their competitor.
them, caffeine and cuts right here. Their thumbs up, and they get. Bucked Up is now blasted all over LinkedIn. They're getting tagged in the LinkedIn post. And so what are your thoughts?
Real quick question, because I'm just getting kind of logistical here. So that conversation happens like mid haircut, right? Or something like that, or at the end. So they say, will you share a before and after picture? And they're like, well, before picture, like, am I just going to find one on my phone from like a couple of weeks ago? And then like, how do I make that have a before and after?
Make it an after.
No, I'm just wondering, like, it'd be so much easier if it, like, we could create it for them. You know what I'm saying? I know this is hard, but like, if right at the beginning we say, hey, can we take a before picture of you? And because if you were able to do a before and after with exactly, not us. Yeah.
He has done that. I'm not going to be there for the haircuts.
No, I'm just saying.
I refuse to do that.
If we can standardize it, he's like, hurry! Someone said yes.
Get over here, Chad.
Over here. Like, if you can standardize it so it's like the same looking picture, they're in the chair,
Love it.
And it's before and after, then it looks so much better.
Then maybe they have a cutout and they put their head into it and their whole. I want to get this cutout.
Shut up with the cutout, man.
It's like a
You're
big
obsessed
muscle.
with the cutout.
I want it.
When you went to like marketing school or whatever you did for your degree,
we had a whole
was there a
semester
whole
on
course
it.
on
There was
cutouts?
a whole semester
Were you the
on
cutout
just
guy?
getting
You need to
cutouts.
chill with the cutouts.
But
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this an exciting idea, or is it in a standard? Is it one of
not
the
a standard?
tackles?
Let's throw that into the fun. Let's just
the
throw
fun
that into
bucket?
the fun bucket. Okay, fair enough. Let's move on with some of our blocking and tackling. So we plug them into Snowball. We get them a Bucked Up, maybe not. All right. I would love to take just a little bit of time and talk about their messaging. So moving up the funnel just a little bit, what can we do with their messaging? You deal, Christian, with a lot of the messaging back and forth on Snowball. So as far as his scheduler and things like that, anything you'd recommend on the messaging front?
Yeah, so there are a couple things. So this kind of relates a little bit to Snowball and how we will work with them as well. But we need to understand the types of customers we have, where they are, and what type of message they need to motivate them to act, right? And so a big thing that we're going to be doing, obviously, is scheduling efficiency is so critical for barbershops, right? So he needs to be getting those scheduled. He needs to be able to count on those scheduled. So if he's not doing it already, he may already be doing this, but he needs to be sending out text reminders for when people have appointments set up. That's for people who have appointments set up. If people miss that appointment or they do not have a secondary appointment, there should still be a message that goes out 3-6 months and saying, hey, it's been a while since we had a haircut. I would love to have you come on in. Anytime you're seeing that type of message, you need to be offering something for them. So I do want Z to be a little more proactive and offering little incentives. I'm just like, hey, if you're willing to come in this month, we're doing a little incentive. We're doing it for $15 off, something.
And I think the reason he hasn't done that right now is like he's at cap for himself right now. So he's not begging for, you know what I mean? He doesn't really need to he hasn't until now. And the other,
now he's ready for it, right?
Now he's ready because he's getting the 2 new customers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can do that going forward for sure.
I love that.
The other thing, he uses a platform called Schedulista, and it does do those before messages. It'll message you before automatically, but there's nothing after the appointment. There's nothing like in between. There's none of that.
So I would love to actually plug him into HubSpot. As far as using our features that we have and using some of our Snowball enterprise level like tools for him, if that's something that he'd be interested in and willing to do, HubSpot can do handle that automated messaging, and it can do a lot more workflow type stuff where there's logic based on what there's going on with their customer that determines what message they receive.
And I'm sure that HubSpot integrates with this platform. I've seen it a lot.
I would imagine HubSpot's a big player.
Absolutely.
And that they integrate with Schedulista.
Right. Yeah. So for his for customers that have appointments scheduled, we want reminders, making sure they're ready to go. He does need to also have an opt-out in the message. So it says, if you need to reschedule, click this. And if respond with this. And if they respond with that, they get a link to reschedule it. Okay. Because it can't be something as simple as being like, yeah, dude, bro, I'm not going to make it. I'm so sorry. And then someone has to see that.
Red button.
Someone has to see that and then go in and like manually say, oh, now we got to send this type of message. It needs to be something where it's hands-free. It's truly self-service. And they can go in and say, yeah, I need to reschedule. They get a link to reschedule. If they do not follow through on their schedule, then we need an outreach to try to get them scheduled again with perhaps a little promo offer for them.
Great. So I think in addition to all the Snowball stuff, the messaging and the scheduler, is it fair to say that that's something that you could take a look at and try to clean that up and see if we could optimize that by integrating it with HubSpot?
And one of the questions is, do we do only through text? Are we going to try to get email addresses for these individuals? It's always harder to get that information from customers, I feel like, to like, hey, can you give me your email address so we can put this in?
Sweet. Great. So great. We'll assign those to you. So that's a lot. Those 3 there: Snowball, all the messaging going back and forth, as well as the scheduling.
Super
itself.
simple. Yep.
That's fantastic.
Good luck.
Well,
I'm not helping you at all.
I guess one of my questions I have is whenever we want to do messaging, the more personalized you can make it, the better. So I kind of want to see his quasi CRM and what he has for his customers. And what information does he have? Is it just their name and their phone number? Does he have information about what type of cuts they have or how frequently they want to get their haircuts done? Because all that information will help me to make a more informed message that says, hey, you mentioned that you like to get your haircut every 8 weeks. It's been 16. Let's talk, versus someone who comes in every single month and they don't show up for a month. You want to get them 2 weeks after that time. So the amount of information he has in his CRM will help to personalize the messaging and make it more effective.
Love it. And then looking at cadence as far as what's the most effective way so that you're not pestering people, but that we're also giving them a nice healthy nudge every once in a while, right? Yeah. So let's keep moving up the funnel as we think of the customer journey and where do they find that scheduler? And right now it's on his website. And if you go to his website right now, super simple. Right, Chad? What have you got? Like a big logo and then just the scheduler.
Logo and schedule an appointment, which honestly I kind of like.
No.
I love that it's clean and simple and it loads fast. But how can we improve that presence right from the get-go?
His homepage needs to be personalized. The relationship between a man and a barber is a sacred thing.
That's right.
No, that just sounded like something you would say. No, but like you want to make, anytime you have like a company, I feel like this, you want to familiarize it, you want to personalize it, you want pictures of Z and his barbers there on that front page.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And they want to look nice, they want to look welcoming, and you want something to establish the credibility of these barbers. So making sure that like a brief bio that really establishes their credibility. This isn't just any place to get a haircut. This is somewhere to get a haircut by someone who is trained here, that's been doing this for this year, that specializes in this, and that's got to be on the homepage.
I love that. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say a couple other things I was thinking about is the uniqueness of his location is something that should appear somewhere on the website just because it's really cool. It's almost a value add, honestly.
It really
Going in there
is
is awesome. So there was that. And then the other thing was we had an idea for educational material as far as like you go in there and get your haircut. Zaxter, after he cuts your hair, teaches you how to style it. And depending on what the style is, it can be a little bit difficult to remember that stuff. So all of that, a place for that educational content or like how to style your hair or barber trainings, things like that. We did talk about that. But that educational content, are we talking about that today on this episode? Is that something still to be decided?
I think as far as where it has a landing place on maybe the website or on one of his social media accounts, but what all those topics are, maybe that's a bigger conversation. But I love that idea.
Yeah.
Here's what I envision, and here's what I imagine is somebody comes to his website and they're greeted with three things. One is they see who their barbers are, right? They see all three of them. They've got pictures. They know who they are.
Price
like
points?
You said. What's that?
Are price points up front and center right there?
I would say even before that, I'd say who's going to be cutting, whose man's hands are going to be on, my head and in my
She has man hands.
I love
it's a
that.
Seinfeld
I
episode.
get the Seinfeld.
Christian doesn't get it.
No,
So
overrated show.
it's an amazing, and we should have man hands now, like on your face right now, just like some giant man hands.
I actually have woman hands.
You have you have a lash on your cheek. No, make a wish. And
What a
this is
fun
giant
little
man.
inside joke for you guys. That's
Yeah,
fun.
it's great. We just had a moment,
and
So-
like 90% of any audience probably.
Yeah, whatever.
Especially the demographic that would go to Studio Z. They're distinguished gentlemen that would understand Seinfeld references.
I don't.
I'm sure.
I don't watch like MASH either, so I could care less about these shows that my grandpa watched.
That's awesome. So one is who's the barber. Two, you nailed it, Chad. I think is where they're getting their haircut because it is an experience. Number three is he needs some super clear messaging. Front and center above the fold that says Studio Z and then something super clear like haircuts for men or something just boom. They get exactly what they're going to get there. And if you want to read more about this, go check out Building a Story Brand. But it's essentially this is what we do. So there's no question about it right from the get-go.
What can we do to what are your thoughts about haircuts for men that care? Right? Or something like
That's
that.
true.
I like that.
Something
I like
a little
that.
extra that actually gets to his, target market and just people who care about their hair. It is something I think that we can make that clear.
I love that. Haircuts for men that care. It's super clean. It does lean into that. These are people that take pride in what they look like.
You just stuck your hand in my camera.
Fantastic. My big old man hands. My big old man hands making it into your shop.
Sorry to interrupt.
I love that. And then I would say below all that, that's all the stuff that they've got to see right from the get-go. Then below that, pricing and some of this educational stuff.
Yeah.
We're not going to leave you alone to do your own hair, to comb your own hair afterwards like a caveman. We've got instructional stuff to help
Like
out.
he does now.
That's right.
So I'm just
If you
kidding.
get that much care when you're sitting in his chair, then he should extend that care. on
The
their phone.
final thing is he does have that e-commerce site goal. So that's another part of that site is the shop.
Right.
and
We can
what
have a
that
link
looks
there that sends them over to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole different ballgame as far as building a website. Everything we're doing up until now is super cut and dry, easy.
Yeah.
When we start getting to e-commerce, it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm not sure. We'll need to really decide if that's something we approach in this 3-month window or if that's something that we defer and push out.
Yeah, and maybe we talked to Jake. I think we talked
think
to
they already
Jake
have
because Jake
built
is
it.
building this out. I think Jake is building this out, but I think somewhere on that homepage there could be a nice link where it's very clear where you can buy, some of his care products and some of his swag. But this landing page, I'm even thinking with
So
this
you're
short of a timeline, maybe just one page that just looks really good from top
this
to
is
bottom.
not the same website, is what you're saying.
The e-commerce one,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to have the discussion, but I thought it was the same website. You have e-commerce section of the same website, and then what we're talking about is the.
It makes sense to live on the same domain. So
they would live on the same
domain. We will
domain.
talk about that,
but I would imagine it's on a Shopify or something like
sure.
that, where it's kind of got its own shopping cart and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so it's literally a link out to an e-commerce store that is branded like his, and it's on the same domain.
Okay.
And all of that is doable with a Shopify or one of these other shopping carts.
So I would like to kind of nominate myself to take over all the SEO for the site, as far as like,
I love that.
There's a bunch of stuff that they want to do with like a sitemap and some basic like technical SEO to make sure title tags and meta descriptions are all set up and optimized so they want to. If this is one page, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Ideally, you want it to be targeted to the keywords they care about. So, making sure that's like Utah, barbershop, all that stuff like that. I also will take care of all the structured data. That's actually something that a lot of websites overlook. There's something called schema.org, and it's something that you put on your site to make it really clear to Google about what you are and what you do and all the ins and outs of your site, so that Google understands you, so they know when to serve you up to customers and also what data to serve them. So that's something that every customer should have. If you don't have structured data on your site, then you need to be adding that. And there is a specific hair salon structured data
no
schema.
way.
No,
Is
no
it
joke.
really?
Yeah, that
wow.
we need to add, and that will help him to rank better in Google.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. I love it. So I think the two assignments we could make is I'll take the design of the one-page landing page that will link over to his scheduler and that will link over to an e-commerce store. But that one page, the messaging and the design of that, I'll take that, and if you will take all the SEO on that. So the on-page
You'll
SEO.
both need to be working pretty closely with Jacob just to see what they already have and get access to that.
Perfect.
But I think I do want to talk to the educational piece though.
Please.
I am so big on that idea because it affects all aspects of the funnel. It'll help you generate new customers, help you have better experience with your existing, and help you upsell. I think we need to get the ball rolling on that. And what I would like just to start, maybe if Chad could do this, is have a conversation with Z and try to categorize the different types of haircuts he gives. Because that's going to be the first step that we take in building educational material, is like, here's how you style 3-inch fade. I don't know the terms for haircuts. I don't know. Like,
I'm pretty sure you nailed it.
If there's some sort of categories that he has for these haircuts that we can start establishing,
So
we can say like, we need 5 videos. That's all we need. And then his next 5 haircuts he does with those people, he can ask if they'd be willing to be recorded, and we just record those. Boom, ready to go.
So obviously there's a ton of different hairstyles, but you're talking the main 80% that he does.
The broad categories of them.
The broad categories that he does.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. And we create a nice content outline, just high level content outline of here's the different styles, and then we can make assignments to him that we want some videos, and we'll come over there and help you shoot them and things, but just some simple how-to videos on each of those.
Yeah, and literally when he finishes with a customer, he's going to go to his little checkout thing. He's going to say the type of haircut they got, and boom, that will trigger an alert to HubSpot, and that customer will receive
fantastic.
a text right then and there that says, "Here's the education. This is Z. Just want to give you this video to help you remind you how to style your hair." It'd be so cool.
And this,
I think people would love that.
this educational content, if we're talking about this right now, I assume that's just going to be on me. Obviously, with a lot of help from Zaxter, I'm recording it, and anything written, I can also do that as well. Yeah. Well, me and Chat GPT. I'm just kidding. I'll help with that.
Chad GPT.
Chad GPT.
Not the answers you want, but it's the answers he has.
And then you'll Christian, you'll work. So who's gonna actually create the content outline for what needs to be done? So Chad, if you'll ask him a few questions about what are some of the core hair pieces.
Yeah, we know what we're talking about.
Exactly. What are
your core hair pieces?
What are the core hairstyles that we want to attack here? And then we can come up with a plan for creating some of that content. This is beautiful. Let's talk a little bit further up the funnel where people might discover him, and that's on search engines. And you really leaned into this talk with all that sexy schema talk. So help us understand a little bit about the SERP page itself and what he can do, or what we need to do to get him looking good there.
Well, the first thing we got to do is his website, right? That's the most important thing you do. That's the most important ranking factor. But there are also other like off-site ranking factors that will be important. So number one, we got to look at his Google business profile, and we got to optimize that. It's looking okay right now, but we need to add images. We got to fill out some more stuff about the different types of haircuts that he gives, make it more clear about what his specialties are. So there's some optimizations we can make to his Google My Business profile. Then we need to care about, really, he needs to own his own SERP. So we need to make a bestcompany.com profile for him. Why? Because that will rank organically. So when people are looking for reviews or barbershop reviews or Studio Z reviews, not only do they see the Google My Business profile over there on the right, they're going to see at the top his bestcompany.com profile that has a write-up about his studio, what they do, and hopefully a couple video testimonials and reviews there as well. We need to own that SERP. He needs to own that SERP. And so when I said it at the top, actually, we don't want the best company profile at the .com profile at the top. We want his own website at the top. And so, having something, I know we want one page for Studios Youth right now. If we're to make a second page, it should be testimonials and reviews.
I totally agree.
Because that way, when people search for it, they're going to get that specific type of content. And there's going to be enough content there anyways that I think it will kind of gum up the homepage anyways. So I'd like maybe to recommend we consider that as a secondary page.
Let me take a look at his CMS to see if we can easily tack on additional pages. I'm guessing that we can. And we can look at some of those other pages. If not, bare minimum, I'm going to make sure some of that social proofing is front and center on that landing page.
When we're talking about non-branded search queries, that's going to be a whole different ballgame and probably not something we touch for now. The reason why is because what is that when people look for like barbershop reviews? Number one, there's not like a centralized listing site for that, though we can look at Yelp, we can look at Uber and other listing sites like that. But he's going to have to be producing a lot of like authority type content to start ranking for that. And that's going to take a lot of time and expertise for him to do. So I don't think we worry about right now, though in the future, he can have some blog posts and the videos, instruction videos will help.
That's right. I think that's going to get the ball rolling.
But let's not worry about
some of that content
non-branded
out there.
search queries right
I
now.
totally agree. And then we all know YouTube is the second largest search engine. So if some of this video content is out there that you're creating with him, Chad, that's going to help him bubble up a little bit on some of those unbranded long tail search terms.
Yeah, and it's lame, but it's kind of lame. But let's look at those listing sites. Let's look at. I don't think he's on Yelp.
He's not. I went into my Apple Maps and I couldn't find Studio Z. I go into Uber. He's not in there. So if we get him on 10 or 15 different free directories, he's going to start populating up there. And we've got some low hanging fruit there on the directory front.
The number one goal is to get him ranking in the top 3 positions on the Google Map stack within 10 miles of his barbershop.
He's got to own his zip.
Yep.
Own your zip.
And that's going to be something, everything we're doing with his website, the directories, everything like that, that's going to help him do that. But we got to get reviews for him as well. That's going to be really critical.
As far as assignments for his basically his Google business profile and his SERPs there, I'm really thinking as far as some of the aesthetic stuff, as far as pictures and things like that. Chad, if we made that assignment for you, I mean, if even on his Google business profile, he's got pictures of all the different types of haircuts he's got. He's got pictures of himself and the other barbers that aren't on there. He's got more pictures of his awesome decor around there. We need some of that on there. Yep. So is that something that you can tackle, Chad?
Yes.
Imagery. We just need pictures.
Images.
We just need pictures.
Yeah.
I can take the directories and getting him on all of those directories. Okay. So I'm happy to take that.
Let's teach him how to fish on this. Let's give him instructions of how to do it himself. Because
Jake will take it too.
Yeah, as far as
we give him a list.
On how to create his own Yelp. Like I don't want to create his Yelp account for him. I want to give him a link that says here's how you do it. Because in the future he's going to have to update things on his Yelp.
That's right. That's
true. We won't always be there
to
hold your hand as much as we'd like to. And so getting him trained on how to do it himself will help him in the future.
I love it.
I do want to be careful with like things that we delegate to that, and not delegate. That's maybe not the right word. I don't want to give them everything so that this podcast becomes. Yeah, we take your business and then we assign you everything to do. For sure, we're not doing that in this case. I just want to draw that line. It's we're going to do a lot of it, but this makes sense to give to them.
Hey, you do the boring stuff because we're going to do the haircut
Olympics.
We're
going to do the cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as him maintaining his NAP, his name, address, and stuff like that, and phone number, they've got to make sure that they know how to do that. So I think directories is an easy one to hand over to them. And as those things change, they got to be able to know how to go in and keep those up to date.
Anything that we have for them to do, let's try to put it in like a short-term, medium-term, and long-term time frame so that he understands it'll be a little more digestible and being like, hey, we need this. But this is a 3 to 6 month type thing.
Yeah.
And so he has it there and doesn't feel overwhelmed.
You should do this within the next 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Moving right along. Moving higher up in the funnel. So we've talked about the search engine results page and how they can own that. And I think you did a great job laying all that out. Let's talk a little bit about social. Where does he have some opportunity on the social front?
He has Instagram, and I think he's been generally pretty consistent with it. Not like weekly, not maybe just monthly posting there. He doesn't have anything else. Well, recently, because of this podcast, he got LinkedIn. So Zaxter has a profile, and his business has a page on LinkedIn. But we talked about TikTok when he came on, and I believe that those are the 3 that we discussed. You had mentioned just a few minutes ago YouTube, getting him on there, and so that's something we'll have to talk to them about. Let's get you on YouTube. But
as far as the long-term play and his demographic, I think YouTube is a really great source if he's going to be creating content and things like that. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So we're saying Insta, he's already got TikTok.
TikTok is Insta,
YouTube,
but better algorithm.
and
That's
then
all.
and then LinkedIn. Like for me, it feels like there's a huge opportunity on LinkedIn.
And different types of content for each one. Mostly
sure.
LinkedIn is going to be different. I think Instagram and TikTok to be very similar. Here's what I'm going to say with his stuff. He's on Instagram right now. It's fine. He mostly has just done before and after pictures, and that's okay. But as far as like content that people want to consume that gets them to watch, it needs to be a video, and it needs to either inform or entertain. And with his thing, I think it's got to do. He really needs to take the perch of to inform. Right? There are some little things and tricks with hair that most people don't know and aren't aware of. And if he gave us 60 seconds on how to do this, this, and this, and it was a little reel or video, that's going to do really well. I think he needs to be focused on the inform aspect rather than so much the
His 5. So at the end of a cut, he'll go through. I think it's like 5 to 10 minutes of how to style your hair. We've talked about this, but that content, that 5 to 10 minutes, you could cut that into 5 really good videos about how to do your hair and stuff like that. And then there's a lot more niche topics, like if you're balding, what do you do? If you have dreads, what do you do? I don't know, like those different topics, but yeah, 100% that stuff on TikTok will kill it. So I think that's the game plan with the TikTok, Instagram. LinkedIn will be interesting with that stuff. I don't know that you necessarily do it the same way, if at all.
No, different from LinkedIn, I would say.
I'm really curious about LinkedIn.
I'm curious about how...
And maybe this belongs in the total fun bucket that we can talk about later. But you mentioned something last time, Chad, that really intrigued me, which was the conversations he has with some of the folks in his chair.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine just like insights from behind the chair or something like that, like little nuggets that you've learned about the business world, about entrepreneurship, about tech, about who knows. And if you were just to post some of those and then tag that person in it or something like that.
I mean, even if
there could be some opportunity there for him to have a shtick.
I don't know what his clientele is like, or I don't know specifics about his clientele, but like say that he has a business owner as a client and that he just came ready with one question for each of those like types of clients. There's like, he knows this guy's coming in, knows he's a CEO, and he just has a question prepared, and the answer to that question is what he's going to post on LinkedIn.
And I think
it's an insight.
Absolutely. Business insights or business and life insights from your barbershop. And he is just the one giving the prompt and the person is responding. And it makes it super easy for him to ask for it and say like, this was awesome. I love to post highlights of really insightful things people share about business and life on LinkedIn. Can I share this little snippet? And people are going to say yes, and it's great. And man, it's a great opportunity for him to tag that individual and that individual himself or him or herself to share that, and hopefully can be a source of generating referrals from it. Yeah. I think that's an awesome perch for him to take for LinkedIn.
I think that's approach. That's an approach that would have a shot on LinkedIn.
And you can have a couple different approaches. That's not the only one, but yeah, I think that's a really cool one. But yeah.
With my biggest concern with social right now is it takes time and energy and effort, and you have to do it consistently. So we can help get the profiles established. We can show we can build some types of content that we think would be effective and test it. But after that, it's going to be up to him. And it's going to take a lot of time and effort for him to be like, okay, I'm a video editor now. I got to take this audio this video and I got to be posting this consistently. So whatever we give to him, it needs to be hopefully templatized and sustainable so we can say, hey, look, your business insights, you have this 5-second intro clip, then clip the insight that you want, and then a 5-second ending that's templatized, and it'll make it really easy for produce that type of content consistently. Otherwise, it's going to be something that's just be a pain.
That's right. He cuts hair. He's not a media producer. Yeah. So one thing it'll give him right from the get-go is when someone does a branded search, all of those profiles are going to be showing up, and so he can own that SERP's page with some of these profiles popping up there. So
what are we going to do with TikTok and Instagram? How hyper local is it? I don't know enough about this. Like
yeah,
when I say
tag location.
It gets his name out there, but it's like if someone in Tacoma, Washington was like, yeah, this is a cool thing. I know how to style my hair now. It's like, what does he get from that?
You can tag your location in post. You can focus on
I'm just wondering like
locations.
how much actual customer retention, like generation, he's going to get from this.
You can get pretty smart with it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all I'll say about that. But yeah. So just to address that a little bit, it's not only people in Utah that are his only customers, or even in this zip code, he has the e-commerce site. So he can set up a shop.
Play,
he can set up
right
as a long-term play. I mean,
to
pretty short term.
go beyond. Okay, that's fair.
I think it's even pretty short term. If he has a shop, he should set up a TikTok shop. That is an extension of that shop. He should set up an Instagram shop. That's an extension of that. E-commerce site is what I'm referring to.
So his videos are going to become a little bit more focused on, this is how you sell your hair, and I'm using this product.
No, it doesn't
Put the
need
hand
to be
behind
that.
it a little bit. Well, his point is to try to sell the product.
No, not in the content itself. I'm actually pretty huge on this. Is like anytime you start marketing within your start advertising within your content marketing, you diminish. You're honing in. You are literally diminishing the broadness of it.
No, but he's got to make it clear, because why is someone going to watch a video of someone styling someone's hair and then be like, tick the shop? Yeah, I'm going to buy some hairspray from this guy.
Yeah. No. He becomes an authority on hair. That is the point of the content.
Saying he has to drop the name of the product.
No, he doesn't. No, he does not. 100%, he doesn't have to do that.
My personal view is the e-commerce play is incredibly valuable, but he's going to make his bread and butter off of cutting hair directly, and I think as his studio grows there, that his reach will grow on e-commerce, because e-commerce is a whole other beast.
Agreed, but if we're talking about social right now, we're approaching from the other side. And so the name of the game is getting an audience. It's broad audience. Who cares? Who cares about selling right now?
Yeah.
If it becomes down to, I say that you do that sparingly by content choice. 90% of your content is just broad. It's you telling different types of hairstyles, and then 10% like, okay, yeah, here's the product I'm using. It's once you gain authority, you gain the trust first with your content, and then you sell. Do not sell while you're trying to gain an audience.
I guess I'm just curious about like the avenue to sell in the future. And I guess what would be kind of cool is if he did a haircut and he was styling someone's hair and he didn't name drop at all, but then when you click the link, it actually took you to here are the products he used in this video, then I think that could make it more of a time. I just think the e-commerce stuff is interesting because he's just a reseller. He's selling a product at a marked up price that can be bought somewhere else cheaper. And so there's nothing proprietary. There's nothing unique. So it has to be so much of like, oh,
we don't know
this
that
is
for
what
sure.
he uses. Wait, is he selling any like exclusive content?
We don't know that.
I'm sure he's not. I mean, he's selling exclusive like hairs. Has he been like in a chemistry lab developing a hair gel?
I mean, that's not difficult nowadays to create your own thing. That's all I'm saying. We don't know the answer to that.
My gut is, having done some marketing on the e-commerce side quite a bit. It's a
probably
whole
branded,
other beast. It's a whole growing his e-commerce probably deserves its own season on the podcast. And I would say, if I were to bet my money right now, I'd say let's get him to own the haircutting zip right here, and let's lay the foundation for some good e-commerce things.
Yeah, so we're 100% talking foundation
is
right
important.
Yeah. Just foundational pieces and content around that.
Yeah.
So super. So we went through Snowball. We went through some of the messaging. We went through his scheduler. We went through the site, search, social. Here's what I'm seeing kind of when we're talking about who does what. It kind of feels like kind of the after the funnel piece, those tasks, as far as these block and tackle tasks, kind of fit on your plate, Christian. Yeah. That this would be something that you take all of those pieces, or you own them. And it seems like, Chad, kind of top of the funnel type of stuff, your social media, some of the pictures for search and stuff like that you could kind of own that. Mm-hmm. And then I could own more of the piece that's kind of like lower in the funnel there, as far as his site and stuff like that.
Low and mid.
Yeah, exactly. So I would kind of propose that we make those three as kind of our zones in our zone defense, that each one of us kind of owns the tools and the channels there. At least for the basics, blocking and tackling.
That might change, but we can interact with that. But
I think roughly then, if it fits on that part of the funnel, who's actually going to execute it or make sure it gets done?
For sure.
It's
actually kind of nice that it worked out this way. We
haven't
talked about this, but yeah,
cool.
it does.
Yeah, that works.
I think that's awesome. This is cool. We got the boring stuff out of the way. I mean, we got to go do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, we know what to do. These are almost checklist type items we can do. I'm excited for our next episode where we're going to go over all of our crazy ideas with
Levi Lindsay.
Levi Lindsay. He's a big name in Utah and LinkedIn. I've heard of him. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, no,
I've absolutely heard of it. Well, I'm really excited to see if he's got a connection over at Bucked Up, because there's the one thing I'm trying to get out of this is you get me some caffeine from Bucked Up so we can get Studio Z stocked up.
The first question we ask him, if he says no, we're like,
okay, great, thanks.
Thanks for coming.
You're not worthy.
This was the tour of Snowball HQ.
right.
No, because we have our crazy ideas we're throwing out there. I've got a couple in the chamber that I'm excited
Good.
about.
Yeah, have I heard them?
No, because I'm going to surprise you with them.
That's
and I'm
exciting.
going to throw them at Levi. But how can we make the next episode fun that it's like he's like we like pitch him ideas? It's like dueling ideas, and he's got to choose one to win, or like how do we make the next? Well, we can talk. That's planning.
Yeah, we could talk about what it looks like. I feel like there are some fun ideas, but yeah, I only have one idea.
If each of
And
us
it's-
were to
I've
take,
already pitched it.
If each of us were to take 1 to 3 of our best ideas and just be ready for a really succinct pitch to Levi, and then let him pick his favorite.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that's a good idea for a segment, just a pitch. Someone said this earlier. I think it was Christian, but is it AI or is it me pitch? I come up with two. I have my 2 ideas. One is AI generated, and I try to make it as weird and interesting as possible by my prompt, obviously, and then my own idea.
I love that.
So he chooses which one he likes more, and he guesses which one.
So how many good ideas do you have ready in the holster to pitch?
Oh my gosh, like 1,000? No, I have like 5 or 6 good ideas, I think.
Could you narrow that down to 2?
Yeah.
And then have an AI idea?
Yeah, it's like choosing my 2 favorite kids.
So
which is easy to do because I have 2 favorite kids.
two actual
and
ideas,
an
one
and an AI, and then
so
he
we
has
have 3
to choose which one.
I also want to like hit him with my quick hit ideas, like haircuts, but for your mom. You know, like you're just like really quick ones, and he's got to give us like
A quick thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah,
He's got to go Joaquin Phoenix on Gladiator.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Wait a second. Wait.
That's not an example.
Haircuts for your mom?
No, I'm just saying.
That's a normal thing. Your mom gets haircuts.
So
not
we have a
crazy.
speed round. What if we have kind of in our final round is your best idea versus your AI idea? That way we're not cluttering. We've each got 2. The one that we really like and then an AI idea. But before that, we have 10 minutes of a speed round. And he's just off the cuff. He's got to give it thumbs up or feed him to the lions.
Yeah.
Thumbs down.
I want to put
That
him
way all your others could just fit in that speed round.
and I also want to put him on the spot a little bit, where like I ask him like a fill in the blank.
What, like prove he's an expert?
I don't know. Just gotta put him on the spot, and we gotta leverage his creativity
I
too,
love it.
because he's a super creative guy.
He is a
So
very
we have like a
creative guy.
speed round where we go through, like, give it the thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we have where we each present 2 ideas. One is AI created, one is our actual idea.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot to pitch him. That's 6 ideas plus the speed round.
Yeah.
But
That is a lot, but we'll make sure we're pretty
nice and tight.
I mean,
tight
and
with
how
the-
many times are you going to get to have Levi Lindsay on your podcast? I mean,
So we're going to be talking a million miles a
Yeah.
minute, and we're not going to let him speak.
yeah, we're going to make him stay here for a while.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you both. Thanks for just trudging through some of that, those basics. Some of that stuff isn't the most exciting, but let me tell you, it is the engine that's going to make everything else that we do actually happen. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and we're really excited to get some more fun stuff and invite our guest next time, Levi Lindsay. Let's do this.
Awesome.